Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the WRX Property Group YouTube channel. My name is George. This is Mario.
What's
And
up?
in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 5 questions you should be asking your realtor before you hire them to sell your house. Before we get started on today's video, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you can stay updated on all of our latest and greatest content.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about what type of questions should we be asking?
Yeah, so when it comes to selling your home is your biggest asset. So you don't want to just go around hiring the first person that you find. You want to make sure that you're hiring the right person, not just to sell your house, but someone that you get along with, someone that you trust, and someone you feel comfortable with to do the right type of job. So that being said, let's get started with the top 5 questions to ask your realtor when you're hiring them. So the number one and probably one of the most important questions that you need to ask a realtor before hiring them is, are you full-time or are you a part-time realtor? And there's a huge difference between full-time realtors and part-time realtors, because part-time realtors have other jobs throughout the day. They're doing other things. They'll sell a couple of properties here and there, but they're not really familiar with the market. They don't see it on a daily basis. They don't know the ins and outs and all the trends like a full-time realtor who from 8 a.m. until midnight lives, breathes, and eats real estate.
Absolutely. So there's obviously a drastic difference, and it starts with communication. For example, when we see when we list a property, when we need to attend to appointments, when people are inquiring about coming to see the property, our full service team is very important to be able to answer these questions and these requests very fast to get as many buyers to your home as soon as possible, versus if that person is a part-timer and they're at work and their phone is buzzing, I'm calling them to go in and show that listing to my buyers, but they're not answering. It becomes very frustrating for a motivating buyer. Right? I mean, they want to come see this house. Unfortunately, nobody's answering me. They get frustrated. All of a sudden, that excitement, they love that house, really drops down in their mind. And, they pick up another house that they want to see. I get them into that, and they quickly forget about the house that they loved initially. So do yourself a favor, work only with experienced people, and do your due diligence.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's 2019, it's the modern day and age. People expect answers quickly, and part-time realtors don't always get back to you in time. And like Mario said, it could end up costing you the sale. And then on top of that, they're not quite in tune with all of the trends of the market, which once again might hurt you. They might tell you too high of a price to list your home at. It's going to sit on the market. You're not going to get the sale. And they might not have the best marketing strategy out there, because if they did, they probably wouldn't be a part-time realtor. They'd be doing it full-time. The second question that you should be asking a realtor before hiring them, just like any manager would ask you when you are doing a job interview, it's, what's your experience? Do you have any references? Do you have any Google reviews? Can I call any of your past clients and ask them about the work that you do? Mario, why is that so important?
Awesome, George. Great question. So again, I really want to touch back on this experience part. I mean, you got to know what you're talking about, and you are entrusting this person to work with one of your biggest assets that you have, and you want to make sure that that they know what they're doing, that people like yourself have identified with that realtor in the past, and that this person is a results-oriented person, that they have delivered results in the past with similar type of properties or homes or similar type of clients. So you can understand why this really altogether will boil down into a nice bottom line for you, and that's why it's important.
Yeah, exactly. It's like making any other hire. You wouldn't just hire someone to work for you without talking to the references. And you most certainly shouldn't hire someone to just work for you to sell your biggest asset without reading any feedback or any reviews. Like, can you imagine you hired someone to sell your house, and after it's all said and done, you go read the reviews because you're now unhappy with the experience you've had, and you realize that there was 5 people telling you not to hire this person.
Right.
And you could have just found it out by getting on your computer, Googling it up, and being like, oh, I clearly shouldn't hire this realtor because they're not good enough. And finding someone who has, say, 100 reviews and everybody's really happy and satisfied with their service.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you're not hiring someone to, flip a burger for you or do some easy task. You're hiring someone to sell an asset that's probably worth over $500,000 if you're selling in Kitchener-Waterloo. Question number 3, and this is something that we find a lot of home sellers as well as home buyers find to be the number one complaint about their agent, and that's...
Let me guess. Is it communicating?
Yes!
Oh my!
Answering the phone,
yes.
Keeping people in the loop. So the number 3 question you should be asking your realtor is, how will you communicate with me? How will you tell me, about the marketing results, about the feedback from the showing appointments other agents have had, and any trends in the market? So what does a good agent do in their communication style?
Awesome. Great question. So you have to be in touch. First, set expectations with your agent. I mean, if you do not want updates every single day, that's understandable and that's good. However, if you want them every couple of days or every 3 days, these expectations should be set out right in the beginning in the initial conversation, and they will include feedback from showings, how the market is doing, what our competition is doing. Our competition meaning other homes that are similar to your home that are currently for sale. Are they sold? Did they do a price drop? Are they have they done any recent improvements that can affect our list price or the desire for our home? So all these things have to be communicated on a very frequent basis, and it has to be set up. And the expectations have to be set up ahead of time.
So you're saying that a home seller would want to know right away if their neighbor across the street listed their home?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not next week or after it's sold?
Right. So these are some of the things that we're talking about here, guys. I mean, you can understand why this is important. I mean, if when we talked about the pricing your home and we picked the price and a range, and we talked about the competition. Competition is the properties in your neighborhood that are similar to yours that a buyer will come out and may choose your home or the other home based on price and condition. Okay, and in the meantime, if your competition has worked on either one of these two things, improved condition or improved their price, then we're at a disadvantage and we need to compete. So we have to make sure we understand this, and this is communicated to the seller. First step is understanding what's going on, and second step, of course, is getting this across to the seller and you guys knowing exactly where you stand in the market.
Mm-hmm. Using one of these handy devices we have here in 2019, sending
right.
Instant messages.
That's right. So text message, email, phone call, voice call, video call. I mean, any of these things are very, very reasonable that clients want to do, but the communication is key.
There's no excuse not to communicate.
There's no excuse not to answer an email or phone call or text message within 2 to 3 hours since receiving. Absolutely zero in 2019. Mm-hmm. That cannot happen. That everything else is terrible service.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so number 4. Now we know about the agent. We know about their experience. We know about their communication style. Number 4, what are you actually going to do to market my home?
Is it a 1989 realtor or is it a 2019 realtor? And there's a big, big, big difference.
And what's the difference?
The difference, all right. So when I say 1989, the business of real estate was, internet didn't exist, right? Internet was slow developing just at that time and it wasn't really a hit. So you couldn't really go online and look for property. So people really relied on signs, for sale signs. People handed out flyers to look at, hey, we just listed a house, we just sold a house, please come to our open house. In 2019, I take out one of these, and you cannot come to the open house, and you live in London, UK, and you want to buy in Waterloo. That's fine. I take this and I do a little tour for you over here in the house. Of course, because you're a buyer and you're qualified, and we have established a relationship, so I can do this for you. Mm-hmm. And so exposure is a big deal, and we have to be able to expose it in the 2019 style. Mm-hmm. So what that means is attention. Mm-hmm. Does my listing get attention? How are we going to get people's attention? I mean, back in the day, in 1989, you'd sit in the car and drive, and if I'm in the passenger seat, you'd be driving, and I'd see the billboard. I'm like, oh yeah, cool, look at that cool billboard, awesome, and look at that house for sale. In 2019, I'm the passenger, but I am on the phone, I'm texting, I'm answering, I'm working, or I'm entertaining myself on YouTube, etc. So that billboard does not work as well as it did in 1989. This is just an example of how the marketing has shifted, and you really owe it to yourself to hire the ones who have great online exposure, great social media exposure, and who can really get so many eyes on your property that traditional methods will never do and will never be efficient enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the end of the day, you're hiring a real estate agent to market your property, and we all know that with marketing, it needs to be the most up-to-date trends to get the most exposure. And we all know that the more exposure, the more eyeballs, the more people come through your house, the higher likelihood it is that it's going to sell and the higher price it's going to sell for. So you really want to make sure that the agent you're hiring, the marketing strategy that they're using is modern and it's going to expose your house to as many potential buyers as possible and not waste any time or money. Okay, number 5, and this is an interesting one. You want to ask your real estate agents what the drawbacks are of your home. Now this seems a little counterintuitive, but it exposes a few different things. For one, it lets you know how well the real estate agent knows the market, potential buyers, and just homes in general. And the other thing is it helps you understand why your house might not be priced as high as your neighbors and what kind of things you would need to do to your home if you wanted to bring it up to the standard if you possibly could.
Awesome, excellent. So an example of that would be the drawback of your carpet is not in good shape and it's stained everywhere. So now the question should be, this should be brought up to your attention. I mean, it's not your job to know that the carpet should be replaced or cleaned, etc. And it should be your agent's. So drawbacks like that should definitely be brought up and talked about. Mm-hmm. That's an example. Another example would be spider webs in corners. I mean, you may not notice these things. However, buyers do. When we're working with buyers, certain things like that, mm-hmm. they do tend to see. So home maintenance tips, etc., like that are very, very, very important to ask your mm-hmm. agent when listing a property. What should be done? What should be improved? And of course, there's many different ways. A lot of people, do not want to spend money, and of course, cash is tight for everybody. We understand. However, there's all kinds of programs where work can be done, and you can pay for these things after closing with certain contractors. So there's different projects and programs we can put you in touch with. Mm-hmm. But you definitely should ask about it.
Yeah, and even if you don't want to do the projects that your realtor is letting you know about, It'll help you understand why you're not getting as much money as maybe the person next door might have gotten. And it'll definitely tell you whether your realtor knows what they're talking about or if this is the first time they've walked into a listing appointment and they don't even know what the buyer wants to buy. And they're just telling you what you want to hear. And that's the last thing you want from a realtor.
100%. It has to be authentic, it has to be true, and it's very important. One thing I really want to make a note of is these drawbacks are all something that can be fixed. However, properties tend to have drawbacks that you just can't fix. For example, backing onto a cemetery, it may be an issue for some people may not care, but that's generally something that has to be talked about and looked upon and discussed in detail. Or a busy street that's fronting in front of you. I mean, you can't move the street, nothing you can do. So things like that will, may or may not be drawbacks, and that have to be discussed as well, even if you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We hope this was helpful in helping you pick a realtor. If there's something that you think that we missed, let us know in the comments. Otherwise, give this video a thumbs up and we'll see you next time.
All right. Looking forward to your questions. Cheers.